Hey guys, it's Red. Today I'm going to be reading from my favorite subreddit, r/Today I F'd Up. Are you ready for some fun stories? You are. Excellent. Let's go. Today I F'd up by pretending to know the girl who thought she knew me. I'm a 25-year-old man and I was waiting for my order at the local coffee shop. Also in the store waiting for orders was a girl who looked around my age and a guy who seemed a bit older, 35 to 45. I noticed the guy was talking the girl's ear off and she didn't seem very interested in the conversation. Next thing I noticed, she's approaching me saying, "Brian?" My name isn't Brian. But before I could correct her, I remembered reading something online that said, if a girl ever pretends to know you, play along, she might be in trouble. So I played along and started having a friendly chat with her as if I knew her. Well, not long into the conversation, she looks at me and goes, "Wait, you're not Brian?" To which I respond, "I know, I thought we were doing a thing." Then, a bit louder and annoyed, she says, "Why would you pretend to be someone I know?" Now the guy she was with before comes over and asks if everything is alright. Knowing I had effed up, I just told them honestly what I was doing. Turns out he was her boyfriend and he was talking about fantasy baseball, and that's why she was so disinterested. She found it funny and thanked me, even though I read the situation wrong. He was kind of offended but understood. I have never been more embarrassed. I mean, okay, so I think you did the right thing. You never know when someone needs help. Although I have to say, as a woman, if I needed some help, I probably would be more likely to go up to a female rather than a male for help in that kind of situation. But yeah, I think you did the right thing. I don't really think this is an F up. I think you meant well and just, made a little mistake. Are you ready for another story? They're short and sweet so far. Here we go. Today I effed up by accepting a package for my neighbour. The other day I accepted a package meant for my neighbour who was at work. It was a hot day, so my windows were open. However, it was also very windy. My apartment door is right next to the front door. I was laying in a t-shirt and shorts on my couch. No socks or anything else. So I take this box for my neighbour and boom, my door closed because of the wind. I had no keys, no phone, and no socks. That's when this amazing Amazon driver stepped up. First he tried opening my door with a card. Afterwards he let me call my parents with his phone. Then he insisted on driving me to their house to get a spare key. I wanted to give him a tip or something, but he drove away the second I stepped out of his car. My hero. That's a really nice thing that driver did, especially when they're basically expected to deliver on an unreasonable schedule. And this driver took his time to help OP. That's a really sweet story, actually. I like it. We need more sweet stories, don't we? I think so. Okay, here is the next story. Today I effed up by whispering sweet nothings into my wife's ears. So my partner is Persian, and as such I've been slowly learning Farsi to talk to her in her native tongue. Well, tonight we were starting to get down to some snuggling, and as I was caressing her, I figured it was time for some sexy talk, and I started with a few sweet sayings. Now, usually I opt for English, and since she didn't know I'd started learning Farsi, I wanted to surprise her tonight by seducing her in her tongue, as it were. I started off with classics like "Dooset Doram," which means I love you, "Atashe Delam," fire of my heart, which she was surprised by and seemed really excited by. Then, disaster happened, when I stumbled onto a mistake or two by whispering in my most velvety voice, "Anam," which, according to my wife, means my poo. I think she pulled a muscle by laughing so much. She hasn't stopped laughing yet, and I don't know when she'll stop. The word I was trying to say was junam, which I missed by a mile. But now I have a new favorite, which is jigarare tu bokhram, which translates to, I will eat your liver, but it was actually more similar to, love you. My husband is Persian, and I don't speak Farsi really very well at all. But I always think it's so weird that they use like liver as kind of the same way we use heart in English. Like my husband often calls me jigaram, which means my liver. Like, so it's like a vital organ. It's really, I understand the logic behind it, but it's so strange to me. So yeah. Okay, here is another story just for you. Are you excited? Yeah, good. Today I effed up by almost killing my roommate's brother. It didn't happen today, but 2 years ago. I was living with a roommate while I saved for my own place. My roommate was lovely, for the most part, but her little brother was always staying with us. Her brother was lazy, never did chores at all, and had pretty much turned the living room into his own personal bedroom without ever paying a cent in rent. As unbearable as that already was, he did the most annoying thing that any roommate could do, which is stealing food. He was constantly stealing my food, pretty much every day. It started with him just taking ingredients like flour or coffee, which I didn't care about, but eventually he started stealing snacks and even took my leftover meals a few times. Eventually I got sick of this and confronted him. I knew it was him because my roommate was a vegetarian and he wasn't. I confronted him a total of, I think, 3 times, and every time I did, he would deny it or just laugh it off, blaming my forgetfulness or my boyfriend, who happened to be celiac, so most of the things that disappeared were off limits for him. This drove me insane, to the point that I eventually brought my own fridge and put it in my bedroom. As you can imagine, this did not stop him. He even took coffee creamer from my fridge and left it on the counter to spoil. This led to me screaming at him to leave, which made my roommate furious. Turns out she wasn't as nice as I thought. And he was back in the house 2 days later. My landlord was a jerk, and I knew that asking him to deal with the roommate's brother wouldn't work. However, I did ask to install a lock on my bedroom door, but he said he would only let me do it if I paid a fee. He was only asking me to pay something like $30, but I thought that was insane and refused. Not wanting to piss off the landlord anymore, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I knew that my roommate's brother was allergic to strawberries. However, I didn't know how severe this allergy was. I also knew that he absolutely loved buffalo wings, because he'd taken them multiple times before. And later that night, in a blind rage, I decided to make some buffalo wings with a secret ingredient. Sure enough, my plan worked, and I got a call at work from my sobbing roommate. She was in the back of an ambulance with her brother because he'd had an extremely severe allergic reaction. At the time, she cursed me out for putting strawberries in buffalo wings and not warning anyone, but what her brother failed to tell her is that he'd snuck into my bedroom to steal them. Once I told her this, she calmed down a bit and was just frustrated. I didn't tell her I'd done it on purpose, but I'm sure she would have put 2 and 2 together at some stage. Her brother was okay in the end, although I did find out he would have died if she wasn't at home at the time. He never came back to the house after that, and I only saw him one more time before I moved out 2 months later. I feel incredibly guilty that I could have cost him his life over some food, but at the time, I thought the allergy was fairly minor, and I'm sure he's learned his lesson about stealing food now. Oh my god, don't mess with allergies. First of all, if you have that severe of an allergy, why are you stealing food? I have some pretty severe allergies. And one of the things I'm allergic to is banana. Like, if my husband wants to eat a banana, I have to leave the room because it bothers me so much. But I always check what's in things before I eat it. Always. Because even though my reaction is not as severe as the brothers in the story, I don't want to go through that. It's not worth the risk. Well, that's all the stories I have for you today. Those were some really interesting and quite diverse stories today, actually. There was a good range of like sweet and like slightly murderous there. So I hope you enjoyed them. Please give the video a like if you did. And don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't done that already. Subscribe and you can watch more. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you making it to the end of the video, and I'll see you tomorrow.